What up, HyperChange? Welcome to another episode. Today we're live. We're going to be talking about the Model Y unveiling, which is coming this Thursday. So this is super exciting because the Model Y is going to be Tesla's fourth vehicle after Model S, X3, and then the Model Y. Just like the Model 3 was a smaller version of the Model S, the Model Y is basically going to be a smaller version of the Model X. And so I want to basically just run through the specs that have been released, what we know about the Model Y so far from like actually the vehicle perspective, and then go into why I'm excited about this from a business scenario and that sort of stuff, and like the financial impact this could have to Tesla, because I think that's sort of what gets me excited and that's my bread and butter. So 1 second, I'm just gonna make sure that I can read all your questions coming in. Awesome. Yeah, so I actually put links. I'm way more organized this time. There's links in the description, which I'm going to walk through now. So you guys can click those links and walk along if you'd like to. So the first thing is we're going to go through Elon Musk's tweet thread. So Elon Musk, none of the specs or details of the Model Y have actually officially been announced by Tesla, but Elon Musk did this tweet thread on March 3rd, basically saying Model Y unveiling event on March 14th at the LA Design Studio. The Model Y, this is the first link in the description if you guys want to follow along. Model Y, being an SUV, is about 10% bigger than the Model 3, so will cost about 10% more and have slightly less range for the same battery. So this is basically the biggest clue we have of the Model 3 right now, which means we can extrapolate pretty much everything else. So essentially, the Model Y, because of its body, it's going to be a hatchback, so it's bigger, so maybe more metal, adds more costs. And so they say 10% more, 10% of 35,000 would be 3.5,000 more, so like 38,500 base price. So the cheapest Model Y is slightly more than the cheapest Model 3, and then the range of 10% less versus like a 320 mile range Model 3, maybe about 300 miles of maxed out range for the Model Y. So that's what we're looking at, starting about 38 grand, probably running to like 60 grand for a maxed out performance all-wheel drive Model Y, which I'm sure they'll have, and then the range on that will just be like proportionally a little bit lower than the Model 3. So that's the announcement. We've seen a ton of like teaser pictures of the Model Y, but nothing actually officially. This is when the first time the vehicle will be unveiled to the public. Remember, the Model 3 event was March like 2016, and then it was about a year and a half before they actually started delivering Model 3s, and then 3 years almost on the dot of when they actually released the $35,000 one. And now let's go to the second link, because we do have some clues about like sort of the production ramp, and I know what you're wondering, if you want a Model Y, when you could actually get your car. So in the second link is Tesla's Q4 2018 investor letter. So if you search for Model Y, I think that's the easiest way to do it, of the Apple F, you'll notice that the first thing they have on the first page, right above the automotive products section at like the very end of the intro paragraph, they say that this year they will start tooling for the Model Y to achieve volume production by the end of 2020, most likely at Gigafactory 1. So this is a bunch of clues. So basically, I personally been speculating that they will be building this at the Gigafactory 1. They have said a long time that all Gigafactories going forward will have vehicle production. Oh, I realized also, I want to make sure my Tesla logo is in the shot, that all Gigafactories will have vehicle production. And so Gigafactory 1, they have way more space, at least I'm guessing, in Reno, Nevada than Fremont. And so that it makes sense to build up new production lines there. That's what they guided for here. So I'm guessing we're going to get confirmation that they will build the Model Y at the Gigafactory at the event. They'll probably give more details about that. But this already says they want to start tooling this year and volume production by 2020. So this indicates that customer deliveries for the Model Y could start, my guess is Q1 or Q2 2020, but like very, very small amounts. And they're going to ramp production throughout the year. It's probably going to be a very slow ramp. No 600-mile range for that person who just asked that, like a 300-mile max range. But so that is what we're looking at. So my guess is this has a ton of implications for the business, because the most expensive part of Tesla's business model is building the production lines to actually build up the capacity for these cars. If you remember with the Model 3, you could even go to the hypercharts.co/Tesla page. And if you look at their CapEx spend, all of the quarters, like mid-2017, you can see huge CapEx spend when they were ramping the Model 3 production. That's to actually buy the robots and install them at the factory, is what costs so much money they have to put up front before getting paid for those vehicles. So Tesla, that's sort of my curious thing, is how much CapEx is going to need to sort of start this ramp, and where is that money going to come from? Are they going to get this out of pocket? Or is kind of what I'm hoping they do is they use this as an excuse to do a capital raise, and they actually raise a couple $2 billion to help accelerate the development of the Model Y, also giving them a cash cushion. I think that's something that could also be going on at the back burner. And if we look at the end of the Q4 2018 shareholder letter, which is also in the links there, you'll see that they say, since the Model Y, this is the second to last paragraph, since Model Y will be built on top of the Model 3 platform and is designed to share about 75% of its components with the Model 3, the cost of the Model Y production line should be substantially lower than the Model 3 line in Fremont, and the production ramp should be faster. So this is kind of like, if you think about Tesla as a high levels of investment, this is the exciting part. You know, their pace of innovation is what Elon would call it, or like the way they learn with each production line and each vehicle they produce is incredible. So I think there's something like 30% of parts are shared between the S and X. So that's just to give you a flavor of 75% of parts are shared between the Model 3 and the Model Y. It's going to be like the manufacturing challenge of building out the Model Y production line now that they've already done Model 3 is so much easier. So even though we're getting an incremental, you know, potentially 500,000 cars, I'm going to touch more on demand in a second. We're getting very, you know, like the actually risk that Tesla is taking by building this new production line isn't that much because they've already done it with the Model 3. So that, and just from my visit at the Tesla factory, that's one thing they do so well is they learn at an incredible pace. You know, each production line they set up, like the tent, is so much more streamlined and efficient and profitable than the GA3 in the factory. So that's what I'm expecting for the Model Y2 is they even have the learnings from the tent. This is even going to be a more streamlined and improved production process for the Model Y. That gives me increased confidence they're going to be able to hit, you know, their target 20 to 25% gross margin on this vehicle. So that's really exciting. I think that, you know, even though the Model 3 was such a hard ramp, the Model Y is going to be much easier. So now let's talk about why the Model Y as a product is so exciting. So the third link I have here is this website called Car Sales Base, which is, and it's a link to the 2018 compact SUV segment. So this is what I totally forgot to mention, I will be live on Thursday. I'm going to the event, which is so awesome. Julian is coming with me. We're going to be documenting the whole thing. I want to make like a vlog of the whole day because I feel like sometimes my life's kind of crazy and I can't like explain what's happening well. So I've just like redecided that I really want to like vlog the whole experience from my perspective of like the day of going there, of meeting people, I'm going to try and get cameos from all the Tesla tubers in my video and just who I meet at the event and what I think of the event. So I'm super excited for that content. So I will be there live in LA. If you're going, say what's up. I'll see you there. But anyway, back to the Model Y. So this is the link for the carsalesbase.com. It's in the description for those watching the video. Click it and you can follow along yourself. So this is why the Model Y is such a game changer. You know, the CUV, compact SUV segment, which are these sort of hatchback, like Subaru cars. The best-selling one is the Toyota RAV4 you've heard of, the Nissan Rogue, Honda CR-V. These are the best-selling vehicle category sorry, I thought someone said I was frozen. I hope I'm not frozen. But anyway, this is the best-selling vehicle category in the U.S. It sold 3.6 million cars in just the U.S. in 2018. That was increase of 13%. So it's a category growing 13%. That is also potentially... Sorry, I'm going to go off Wi-Fi so that you stop freezing. Okay, we're back. Sorry. HyperChange, right? We need better interlink. Where's Starlink with the internet? Come on, guys. Anyway, so this is such an exciting segment for the Tesla and the Model Y because I think there's just like huge potential. The market of the Model Y, this compact SUV segment, is significantly larger than the small to premium sedan segment. So when you think about how well Tesla's done in that category and how it's gotten, you know, hundreds of thousands of orders, they sold 145,000 Model 3s each year, huge demand. In theory, there's potentially way more demand than that for the Model Y because of how big this compact SUV category or CUV category is. So that is sort of the excitement. I mean, the top cars here is like the Toyota RAV4 sells over 400,000 units per year. So think about that. That's just in the US, 400,000 units per year. Tesla only sold at a rate of 90,000 last quarter and was able to be significantly profitable. And so when you think about it like this is where I start to get really excited about Tesla's business model is every single new vehicle they have, they don't really have to build out new infrastructure to serve that vehicle. You know, they already have the stores. They're actually closing some of the stores. And, you know, they already have their charging network for the most part. They already have the R&D. They already have the Fremont factory. And so once you build out that production line, start selling those vehicles, all the incremental profits will drop down to the bottom line. And so that is a super exciting proposition because I think that means once the Model Y hits scale and everything goes well, you know, this is going to be a huge, this is going to, if the Model 3 took Tesla from losing a bunch of money to break even or slightly profitable, I think this is going to take Tesla to incredibly profitable, like significant profits with this car in their lineup if the demand is where they think it is. Now, here's sort of the skeptic oh, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate your support. And so here's where I'm a little bit skeptical about the Model Y. This is where I'm going to say all of my like negative things. The first thing is the Model 3 reservation holders, which I'm still kind of bummed about. Like if you put down your reservation day one for the Model 3, you still might not have your $35,000 Model 3 yet. So that to me is kind of a little bit catch-22. So it's like 3 years ago, you just did this whole event and people put down their money for deposit. They still haven't even got the car and now you're hyping up the next product. So, and that being said, like they didn't actually deliver like in order. They delivered the most expensive Model 3s first, not based on the first people that put down the deposit. So I think Tesla actually, I said they shouldn't do that and they should lose money and just give it in exactly the order that they got the orders, but they didn't do that. And I think that's going to really hurt them in terms of the amount of pre-orders they can get. Why would you really pre-order a Model Y? Because it makes no sense. Like the more you pay, the faster you're gonna get your car. Your pre-order is gonna have very, very minimal, you know, timing on how you get your car. So I think the pre-orders, which for the Model 3 were 400,000 units or so, like almost right off the bat, I think the Model Y could actually be lower than that, even though the demand for this vehicle is bigger because Tesla sort of messed that up. And so this is sort of my question is like, you know, how many people who are buying the Model 3 and have bought the Model 3 are buying it because it's a better car in its category versus a Tesla and an EV. Like I think a lot of early EV adopters bought Teslas regardless of whether they needed a CUV or sedan. They just more wanted an electric vehicle. Like Tesla breaks the norm for these categories in many ways because they're so disruptive. And so the best clue we have is that the CUV segment is huge. It sells 3.6 million units in the US each year. If Tesla captures 10% of that and becomes one of the best selling CUVs, then they have, you know, I'm really sorry if the stream is not doing well. I'm going to re-upload this to YouTube and you can watch it there. So hopefully that will be a much better experience for those of you who are getting troubles live. But anyway, so that is why I'm so excited about the Model Y. But the other skeptical thing about what I'm wondering is this comes at a time when I'm questioning sort of all the demand with Tesla. Also appreciate you guys telling me the stream's okay. Because we just had the $35,000 price drop. We just had the V3 Supercharger come out. So, I mean, there's so many changes going on with Tesla's business model right now that the Model Y is coming out. Like, I think we're getting a ton of clarity at this event. And so what of you guys may be asking that I think is going to be super interesting is what is the one more thing? Because Tesla, sort of like the famous Apple Steve Jobs thing, they will like basically have a one more thing and announce a new product. So on Tesla's Semi event, they announced the Roadster out of nowhere that came out the back of the Semi truck and it was this whole splash. So my guess, the thing is, with this huge amount of people they have, with all the press at the Model Y event, they're gonna do a new, they're gonna drop some sort of one more thing. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would be kind of lame if it's just the Model 3 or Model Y. So someone just said fully self-driving demo. I think that could totally be a thing. I wasn't even thinking that. What I'm actually thinking is a Model S and X refresh. This is something that someone said in the comments before, because I think, I don't know. I just feel like the Model S and X and the sort of like the last dagger or the last piece of evidence for this was the V3 supercharging thing. They made this huge show for V3 supercharging, this whole thing about how, you know, it can charge faster, you're gonna warm up the battery, they can charge at like 250 kilowatts, et cetera, et cetera. But it was pretty much all for the Model 3. And so I think that was so interesting. Shout out to Ashish for giving the super chat. Appreciate that. And so I don't know. I personally think more and more it seems like Tesla's been ignoring the Model S and X. They don't have the 21 battery cells. They don't have the full access to the V3 supercharging. So I'm just like, I don't know. I think a refresh for the S and X is needed. It would get me pumped. It could do 400 miles of range. It would be epic. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I just saw that question about supercharge or Tesla network update. So that's another thing that could be really interesting is we've had, you know, a ton of speculation about how there's been the fully, Tesla said they will drive coast to coast fully autonomously as sort of this big marketing push for the autopilot, which I think was supposed to happen by the end of 2018. Never happened. So we're still waiting for that. So that could be a one more thing. But I personally am a lot more bearish on this whole fully self-driving thing, Tesla network, because it's it seems so far away to actually getting to the point where I can check my phone or have 2 beers and then not worry about it and literally let my car take me from A to B. Like, I just think the technology of that actually happening is super, super far away. So even if they do announce something about, like, I guess they could demo the self-driving technology, but like, I don't know. I don't think they're going to have a consumer product ready for the Tesla network there just yet. And so are they saving the S and X upgrade for 2020? I have no idea. I don't know. I think when I go into I'm curious what you all think. When I go to the Tesla store or when I see the Model S and X, like, just as a Tesla fan, I'm like, even if I had an unlimited budget, I would probably buy a maxed out Model 3. And I think a lot of people would agree with me. You get V3 supercharging, the touchscreen, I think it's a newer chip. Like, it's just, it has the new HVAC system, which is another difference. So it has the 2170 cells. So apparently there's little things like less vampire drain that happens with the Model 3 batteries. So I think there's like a lot, I don't know. I personally would just not buy a Model S or X. I'd buy a maxed out Model 3 or maxed out Model Y because it seems like Tesla's investing more energy there. So from a brand perspective, I think that's weird and doesn't make sense. But yeah, Daniel, thanks for the super chat. Roadster SpaceX package. So that's another thing that's out there. I mean, the Tesla Roadster and the Semi, frankly, we haven't gotten too many concrete updates on when those will be going to customers, but they're supposed to be like 2019 or 2020. And I know Tesla and Elon has been talking about this feature for the Roadster where like the thrusters, or I guess thrusters like shoot you up and you can actually go airborne. So that would be a crazy thing that they demo. I mean, I would be stoked if I could get to see that actually in person, but for some reason, I don't know, it doesn't add up to me. My personal gut feeling is 50% chance there's no one more thing, it's just Model Y, and there's a 45% chance it's S and X refresh, and 5% chance it's something I have no idea. So that's kind of what I'm thinking now. But yeah, overall, I mean, the Model Y is super exciting. Tesla has been planning this for years. They're building it with their next generation production line. The parts are the same. I think the profitability and ramp of this vehicle are going to be better than we've ever seen for any Tesla product, like they always do. And so ton of excitement. Someone said the pickup truck is not going to be unveiled until another event later in the year. So the pickup truck won't be the one more thing either. But yeah, I mean, I guess the number that has most Tesla bulls and a lot of people are excited are 3.6 million compact SUVs sold in the US each year. You know, if Tesla can, in the Model 3 and Model S, some months have shown they can get to 25% market share, which is huge. If they can get, thank you for the super chat. I will keep hustling. And yeah, and so I don't know. I think that, you know, if they can just capture 10% of the CUV market, that'll be huge. Yo, thank you, Passion Planet, for the super chat. My thing about, you asked about the SEC case and about what will happen with this new contempt claim. I think if anything happens, it'll just be another fine, but I don't know. I'm not, or Elon's response is due today. I don't know much about that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert, but my gut instinct says like nothing major. Worst case scenario, we'll get a fine. That's my guess if I had to. But I think, you know, the real news about Tesla, and since we're on live stream and just hanging out, the kind of thing that I've been wondering the most about and what makes this Model Y thing so interesting is where is demand? And I call this the garage problem. I think that Tesla's crushing it and a leader in the EV space and we're going electric, but now I wonder, you know, how fast can we go electric? Like I know a ton of people, I'm in Seattle right now and like talking to my parents about whether they want to get a Tesla. Like if you don't have a garage or somewhere where you can park your car, like even if you can afford it, it makes it super inconvenient to have a Tesla. So I call this the garage problem. Like I just think there's these little things that with adopting a brand new technology like electric vehicles that aren't going to make it as easy. Like the people who bought the Model S and X and a lot of the early 3 adopters were either so into EVs that they were willing to like kind of sort of change their lifestyle to make it work. You know, I wonder how much of it is that versus it actually outselling gas cars like on a apples to apples comparison. And so I think the EV revolution will happen, but how quickly, that's where you start getting into trouble saying, oh, if the Model 3 got this much of the, you know, small to premium sedan market, then the Model Y will get a similar amount of the CUV market. Well, maybe, or maybe it was a bunch of early adopters that just bought the Model 3. Like there's just so many unknowns because this is such a new disruptive technology and it's such a shift for your lifestyle to go from the internal combustion engine to an electric car. Like I think it takes education. I think it takes all of these things. And so This is this theory of like, where is the demand for Tesla? I think finally we're at this inflection point of Tesla's ramped capacity and for its whole life has been demand constrained or supply constrained. It's all about how many can they build? That's how many they're going to sell. I think for the first part, now Tesla, why we have this sudden introduction of the Model 35,000 Model 3, why we have all these other things, I think what that's showing you is Tesla's no longer 100% supply constrained. I think eventually they're going to hit a point. I mean, you can't be supply constrained forever. Eventually they expand production enough to where people, you know, they're like, exact. So the point being is, I don't know if demand, how much of Tesla's early demand has been pent up to be because of electric vehicles versus people replacing gas. So that's what the Model 3 or Model Y is going to answer. That's why I'm so unsure about reservations. Are they going to get 50,000? Are they going to get, beer? Vincent, what's up? Thank you for the super chat for a beer. But yeah, so that's the other thing. So Vincent did remind me about, because he has an awesome Twitter account that follows a lot of Tesla in China. And what is so interesting about the Model Y is this will be the second vehicle that Tesla will be building in the Gigafactory in Shanghai. So I think we're going to get an update about that as well. For all of you Chinese consumers, I think there's going to be like, I think the Model Y will come available in China almost as soon as it is in the US, because they're going to be building it at Fremont and maybe simultaneously building it at the Shanghai Gigafactory. So I'm also going to be really curious to get more clarity on that. But anyway, this wraps up the live stream. If you have any questions last minute, shoot them for me really quick. I'll try to answer them. Model Y, will the Model 3 ever be a hatchback? Nope, the Model Y is a hatchback. Vincent, the Chinese Tesla goat has arrived. I agree. I love that comment. So should Tesla advertise? Maybe. I don't know. Could there be Tesla solar news during the event? That is another big thing. That's another, actually, one more thing. The one more thing surprised this event. Maybe it's the Mega Pack, which we got rumors of, which would be a huge utility scale battery, and they announced like some contracts for that. Deposit is going to be $1,000. So that's the other thing is Tesla, are they strapped for cash? Are they not? Ooh, thank you for the super chat. I guess, you know, this is going to be a capital raise for them in some ways. You know, when the Model 3, when they got 400,000 pre-orders, that was like $400 billion in the bank. Like, bam. They're refundable, but most people didn't get them refunded. So, you know, even if they only get 50,000 pre-orders, this could raise $50 million worth of capital for Tesla. So that's another sort of interesting thing. Like Tesla pioneered this model of like this Kickstarter approach. And if you don't think Tesla's a disruptor or just a little funny stories, I think like every other electric car maker is copying this approach of like, oh, we're going to put out our car and take refundable pre-orders. Even Arcimoto's doing it. Even like Porsche's doing it for their EVs. Like they're all copying Tesla's business model, which was like the exact, I don't know, which I think is like a precursor to Kickstarter in a lot of ways. They were, what they did with the Roadster. And so I think there's going to be like, yeah, I think Tesla's done a really interesting thing where they show the product, they take pre-orders, which is a way to get capital to subsidize the CapEx for that product, a pioneer in crowdfunding, a brilliant product strategy, a brilliant way to generate hype for the car with zero marketing dollars. I mean, this is pretty much Tesla's biggest marketing investment, is holding an event and inviting every YouTuber to go there who goes there on their own dime, making content about Tesla for their channel. Like, that's pretty, I think, you know, these events are, if you think about the business model that Tesla's built around the Unveil, with the way they get cash, with the way they get marketing. I mean, this is genius. And when people like me, and I think a lot of longer-term investors say like Tesla does things differently, they innovate, they're just a new type of car company, like that is not an exaggeration. Like every single way they do business, if you look at them, is just so different, so internet first, so smart, so all about amazing products, building hype on their own. I think this is just going to be a microcosm of that. And I think I love that. So yeah. What up? Mark Benton said it. Model Y is going to be epic. I'm going to be there. I'm going to vlog my whole day, probably also go live during the event. So definitely stay tuned. HyperChange is going to be covering. Can't wait to see some of you guys there. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions. It's awesome. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys are all awesome. That's how I get to do YouTube full time. So much appreciated. Man. Wow. And Margaret got me a snack to go with my beer. All you super chat people are awesome. Thank you so much. Now I got a beer and snack. All right. See you guys next time. Peace.